You can't tell it right now, but we're in the Smoky Mountains, not too far from Pigeon Forge. We're in a school of Appalachian cooking. This is Stephanie Foley. First of all, what makes you interested in Appalachian cooking?
Well, I am from the Appalachian region in Kentucky, and so that is a heritage that I want to preserve. And cooking is sometimes difficult for a lot of people, but Appalachian food is simple ingredients that you just make. They're just really good and heartwarming and satisfying.
We got a couple things we're going to do today. One of the things that I'm excited about is because I saved my appetite. I haven't eaten anything today. It's in the afternoon. And you got tomato pie.
Yes, tomato pie, and it is summer, and that is a wonderful dish to have with your summer meal.
And it can be the whole meal
It
if
sure
you
can.
choose to do that, and I probably would choose to do that. But I really want to focus on your biscuits. What do you call them?
They're sweet biscuits, shortcakes, and you put your strawberries on it, or any kind of summer berry, and a little whipped cream, and you've got a delicious dessert.
I'm so fired up. Now let's talk about, first of all, you did some pork.
Yes.
How did you do your pork?
So I took you need a pork roast, and I have just a regular pork loin roast. You can do a Boston butt roast as well. So you cook it slowly. I've cooked it 12 hours.
Just
really
on the pot on the
slow.
stove?
12 hours, and you cover it in water. You want to cover it about an inch or so more, and you just cook it slowly. And then I've added in, after 6 hours, I added in some au jus. And just let that with salt and pepper cook, and that will form this beautiful meat and some juices that we're going to add in some egg noodles, and we're going to shred our pork up, add in some egg noodles, and it makes a delicious meal. It's always a hit at my family with all the grandkids, and the grandkids range in age from the mid-20s down to 5 years old. And so they're all, when we have a big meal, they want Nana to make
Pork and noodles.
pork and noodles.
Now let me ask you this, if you look back at your life and the folks that I'm talking about the old timers that did things the old fashioned way, who was your favorite cook who you used to watch and think, I wish I could cook like that?
Oh, it would be my grandmother.
And her name was?
Her name was Irene, and my grandmother was always in the kitchen making a big meal on Sundays and homemade biscuits, and you had a big meal all day long that was available. And I would watch her, and she never ran kids out of the kitchen. It wasn't like, get out of the kitchen.
Kitchen's closed, none of that?
No, it was you got to sit as close to the bar as you could and ask all the questions that you wanted to ask.
I'm still very excited about the tomato pie. Is there any way you would show us how you built that?
Yes.
From the ground up?
Yes, from the ground up. Well, when I make my tomato pie, I make it in a cast iron skillet. Today, I'm going to use yellow and red tomatoes because we want it to be colorful. And because tomatoes are really
Drippy?
Yes, we want to go ahead and prepare and slice these, put a little salt on them to draw out the moisture, and then what we'll do is we're going to let those tomatoes sit while we're making our dough, and then they'll be prepared. Now, one thing I like to do, because I hate cleaning up messes, I just get me a little parchment paper.
My grandmother used to say, if you don't make a mess, you don't have to clean it up.
Oh, isn't that the truth? So I have prepared the dough in advance. Of course, it's best to chill it for a couple of hours. So it's a very simple recipe with plain flour, a little salt, a little butter, and a little lard.
Is that chunks of butter and lard?
Chunks of butter and lard in here. So you want to lightly flour your dough. It's been sitting in the fridge, so you'll want to get it really, I like my crust thin and crispy. Now you want to try to keep your crust even as possible. So you see that's kind of uneven, that's okay. And what I like to do is just kind of fold it over so I don't tear it. I'll just quarter it here. and get my pan ready.
Let's see what you're doing. That was tricky.
So you just want it to be gently, and you just place it how you want in your pan. Now remember, you know, we're talking Appalachian food, so sometimes just the rough look is okay. You know, I'll just go around, and you see I have some more. We'll trim that off, but I just go around and kind of just roughly pinch. My grandma could just take her hand and go just with one hand and pinch it as fast as she could, and they were always just right in unison.
Take a look at this rhubarb pie that Nikki did a while back. Look at this crust. To me, it was a work of art. It was kind of going over the edges, and it was so thick and so beautiful and so wonderful. And that was one of my favorite crusts you've ever made, and it was just beautiful. You remember that?
So when I was a kid growing up, this was my favorite part of sitting by by the bar at my grandmother's, because these little pieces we got to play with and make something, and she would even, you know, let me bake it. So this is my dough. Now, I'm gonna put this in the oven for just 10 minutes on 375, just to let that bake just a little bit. You're not gonna need to poke holes or have anything in it, because it's not gonna rise up. It's just gonna give a little firmness to it.
Pork and noodles is something that I remember as I traveled around the Appalachian Plateau, different places. That was in a lot of kitchens, a whole lot of kitchens.
Well, it feeds a lot of people. You can have a
and
hearty. It's cheap, and you want to, because most families, you know, had multiple kids. So what you see is you want your roast just to fall right off. Just take your fork, and you want it to fall apart.
And it is.
And you just break it up, big chunks, however you want, shred it, little pieces. So you get that. And you know, then you may have to look and you may have to add just a little bit more water, just so, because you're gonna need some moisture in there for your noodles.
Right.
So, but we'll go ahead and add in some of our just egg noodles. You can just whatever version you want to get. You can find them at any grocery store. You can do wide noodles, tiny noodles. So.
And you've got enough there technically, if you really broke it down, you could probably feed 10 people with that.
Oh yeah.
Easy.
Easy. If you like to make a dish to feed a lot, here you go.
And again, pork's cheap.
So we just let all those noodles cook down. So we've given our crust about 10 minutes in the oven, and you still see there's not much going on. So we're gonna start our layering process. Back to our tomatoes. You see the moisture on top of those? Mm-hmm. We're gonna take our paper towel and kinda dab it up there. So we're gonna start just layering around these tomatoes. You'll start with the tomatoes first. Kinda, since we're doing both colors, we'll alternate. So I'm taking a cup of shredded sharp cheddar, a half a cup of mozzarella shredded, and a half a cup of Monterey Jack. I like to mix my cheeses, and 1 cup of mayonnaise.
Oh, can I have mayonnaise?
So, and a little salt and pepper to taste. Okay, so once you get all of that, you're just gonna do a little layer. Put half of your cheese on your tomato pie. Just kind of spread it around there.
You're kind of gauging as you go along.
Yeah, just kind of gauging how much you want. You want the top layer, for me, to be good and thick with cheese. And then I have a half a cup of green onions that I've just diced up. Just add a little color, a little flavor. And then now we'll take our tomatoes, go back to layering.
Now, because I'm starving, the question I'm gonna have,
Yeah,
how long does it take to cook?
it cooks for 35 minutes.
At what temperature?
At 350, you just
You've
set
already
your...
got some heat in the bottom.
That's right, and you set your timer for 35 minutes, and you're good to go.
Oh man, that smells
So
good.
it's okay to have a little bit of the tomato peeking out.
Yeah.
So
350, 35 minutes.
yeah.
All right, so what is this concoction called?
This is sweet biscuits that we're gonna make, and we're gonna put strawberries. We're gonna make it like a strawberry shortcake when we're finished. It's gonna be really good. Now, what I start with is 3 cups of self-rising flour. We're gonna add in 1 cup of sugar. Incorporate that in just a little bit, and then we're gonna put 3/4 of a cup of butter. Butter, and we'll just take our pastry cutter and just cut that in just like you would when you're making your biscuits. And I'm gonna throw an egg in with 3/4 of a cup of milk. Kind of mix that in just a little bit. Gonna build you a little hole there. So we're just gonna mix all this together. We want to kind of have a thicker dough. We're not going to roll it out thin. You want it to be kind of thick so you can cut.
Because if you're doing more of a dessert type thing, you only need 4 or 5 pieces.
Yeah, and then you're going to cut your biscuits from here.
And these, as biscuits go, you don't have to wait 45 minutes.
No. Okay, so these are ready to go into the oven, 375 for 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
And when they come out, we're gonna put some butter and sprinkle some sugar on top. They're gonna be really good.
Now, if you uncover that beast over there, look what we've got. We got pork and noodles, as simple as that. Then we have this beautiful tomato pie. So either one of those could be a complete meal.
Could be.
But then you come back and you just knock us over the head with some sugar biscuits.
So I took about 5 cups of strawberries, and then I took 3/4 of a cup of sugar and just poured that together, stirred it up, stuck it in the refrigerator.
And it makes its own little juice
and look
thing
at
going.
all this juice that it makes, and
Yes.
that is all you need to go with your.
And then a little whipped cream.
And a little whipped
You went out
cream.
to the cow.
Went out to the cows, get some heavy cream, a little
Stir it.
sugar, a little mixer, a little vanilla, and you got it.
Oh, that's country right there.
Yeah.
It's just simple.
Just
it's
simple, easy.
That's delicious. Nikki, you're gonna love. She loves her noodles. Oh my gosh.
Serve a good crew.
Now let's try this. I'm saving my bolo. It's not going anywhere. Oh my. We kind of know how good this is going to be already, because how could you go
I
wrong?
know, tomatoes, cheese,
Green onions.
green onions.
I'm going to take a big bite. I don't care. You know, that cheese combo right there. I'm glad
3 cheeses.
You did the Monterey Jack too. I think that really kicked it off. The green onions are fresh. That with the tomatoes, you got that little almost, I don't know what it's got going on there, but it's country.
Yeah,
And it's good.
and it tastes like summer.
It does taste like something. Those tomatoes are so fresh, they're just popping in there. But I guess now I'm gonna have to try
Oh,
the
you're
dessert.
gonna have to make yourself try this dessert.
I guess I could probably go that route. That's not gonna be good. There's no way.
No way.
Look how terrible it looks.
Just a little bit of strawberry and
That's kind of ridiculous. That's kind of ridiculous. That's really, really good. You know, I love that. Sometimes you have angel food cake or, shortbread or something with not a lot of sugar. Did you put any salt in that?
yes.
That makes it pop. Just that little bit of salt with that sugar. That's beautiful. That's kind of special.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing to it. And
Nothing to it.
even if you can't cook, if you followed your directions, I mean, it's so simple. You can throw that down, and you can serve that in any restaurant in the United States as with fresh strawberries, and you got something. Thank you so much for being a wonderful host and a cook today.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Appreciate it.